Good evening all and welcome to the Muscle Health Foundation Charity's 18th episode of our series of In Conversation with broadcasts hosted by myself, Michael McGrath. If you're joining us for the first time, a very, very warm welcome to you all. As many of you now know, these broadcasts, these fireside chats as we move into the colder winter months are designed to speak to our community, children and young people across the UK between the ages of 8 and 28 who have the muscle wasting condition, muscular dystrophy. Plus, yes, of course, there are an opportunity for families and those with an interest or connection with our particular guest, who I'm very much looking forward to introducing very shortly, to also tune in so to all the mums and dads, right? So all to uncles and aunties, the brothers and sisters, the PAs and the carers, the Muscle Health Foundation charities, friends, our partners, our supporters, our donors, our volunteers. Welcome to you all this evening. As always, we want these shows to remain relevant and of interest to our community, but we want to reach new audiences and attracting interest in garnering new causal support so we can push on with the charity's work. Before we welcome tonight's guest, a very few quick housekeeping points. Firstly, a little safeguarding note. We have eyes over tonight's broadcast, as always, right? Which is streaming live on the charity's Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our LinkedIn channel. So if any inappropriate comments are observed, action will be taken. And secondly, all In Conversation with broadcasts are recorded, meaning that you can watch any of them at any time, whenever you would like to. Isn't that wonderful? So here we go. So with over 30 episodes to tune into, why not head over to the charity's YouTube channel. Search for Dreammaker 657, that's double M in the middle, and be sure you hit the subscribe button. We really don't want you to miss out on any future episodes. Plus, I'll let you into a little secret this evening. Drum roll. Do you know what? We're already planning next year's ICW broadcast schedule. And all I'll say is that we've got some great guests lined up. So watch this space. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really, really delighted to introduce tonight's In Conversation with guest, prolific blogger on all things disability, a seasoned campaigner, and someone who doesn't let her wheels define her. She's a self-confessed, let's get that right, a self-confessed planning addict, a lover of writing lists and more lists and more lists, a champion of equality, of inclusion, of difference. Someone I happen to know loves a great quote. Who doesn't, right? Without further ado, please give it up a very, very warm welcome to Kerry Thompson, aka the Toilet Queen, the lady who loves the loo. And we'll come on to that later, I promise. Hey, Kerry, very, very warm welcome. How's it going? Really great to have you with us this evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Excellent, excellent. Listen, let's have a few little shout outs quickly, shall we? Because I know a few of these folks have asked for a little shout out and you've directed me accordingly. Firstly, let's jump down to Cornwall and give a shout out to Ross. How do you know Ross, Kerry?
I've known Ross for a few years now. He was part of the MD Bloggers crew that we created. And he is my Cornish chappie that I love so dearly. He has me in stitches every time I speak to him.
Excellent. Well, we're going to be looking forward to maybe one or two questions that will keep you on your toes tonight, Kerry.
Yeah.
Excellent. And we'll do a shout out to Kerry's mum. Hello, Marion. Good evening to you.
Hey.
In a wonderful village in Leicestershire called, wait for it, New Bold Verdon. Now, they're the name of a village. New Bold Verdon. Hey, Marion. Great to have you with us this evening. And I'm also going to do a shout out across the country to all of those amazing people who are involved in driving the Changing Places agenda forwards. So hello to the nation's toilet team. and we're going to come on to you a little bit later on. And I have to also give a shout out to Nikki, Kerry's other half. Keep Kerry hydrated this evening, please, Nikki. Very good. So, Kerry, where are you in the UK tonight?
So I am in the land of the concrete cows and roundabouts. So Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes,
Yes.
wonderful. And we'll come on to I've got a couple of things about Milton Keynes which have popped up as a little bit of research. But speaking of research on the sort of rare genetic diseases landscape, specifically within the neuromuscular space and variants of muscular dystrophy, would you perhaps kick off tonight's conversation? Tell us a little bit more about FHL1 gene mutation. So when were you diagnosed, and how does it affect you, Kerry?
I was diagnosed when I was 24. Well, I say 24. I have had two diagnoses. One when I was 19 by a doctor who now apparently got struck off. So he didn't actually test my blood at all. He just assumed. And then I was properly diagnosed at 24. So it affects my legs and my arms, my respiratory. It affects my heart as well. So it's quite a rare one, what I've got.
Is
So,
it part of the?
I like to be rare. I like to be, not like everybody else.
Nothing wrong with being rare. It's a very endearing attribute. So,
Yes.
how was life for you, Kerry, during lockdown? How cautious are you still being?
I'm not going to say it was easy, but I'm not going to say it was hard as well. It was quite hard to lock myself away and not be able to go out, because when you're shielding, I generally just locked the whole world out, and I think everybody did that. There were struggles with food. There were struggles with, my husband worrying about whether or not I was, fully protected. Even just taking in the food shopping or the post coming through the door, it was always that big worry of everything needs to be wiped down. We're a little bit less cautious now, but we're still very cautious. It was funny because the world generally opened up a lot more to me. So my campaigning world became very open. So the people that I'd been trying to get hold of for many years by pinging in their inbox was now very much like, yes, Kerry, let's do a Zoom chat. Let's do a Teams chat. So that it became very open to me. So I was able to keep myself quite occupied. And plus I had my blog as well. So I think I was probably one of the lucky ones that I was able to write down my thoughts going through lockdown and not having to lock myself away completely. I still speak to my nan every day. I spoke to my mum. I had my husband. So there was my cousin set up some game chats that we did where someone was a host, and that was quite entertaining. But yeah, then there's the mental side of things, and then there's also the physical side of things. I have lost the ability to do certain things that I would have been able to do before pre-pandemic. So there's swings and roundabouts of how it's kind of been for the last 18 months or so.
Are you one of those individuals that is all for mandatory mask wearing?
Yes, I still wear a mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of that, I want to protect myself, but I also want to protect everybody else.
Yeah.
So even if I've got a cold or if I've got a sore throat, I'm still going to wear that mask, because there's no guarantee that it isn't what it is, because you can still get a negative, but be positive. So
yeah, that's true. And you've been boosted.
Yes.
Welcome
I am
to the boosting club.
Yeah, I'm triple jabbed.
Triple jabbed. Excellent. Very good. Pleased to hear it. That makes two of us. So listen, a little bit of a gear change. I'd like to shine a spotlight on your blog, My Life Kerry's Way. It's a great title, by the way. I love it. So when did you start it, and what's it all about?
I started it back in, I think, 2017. It comes to mind. And it was literally a way for me. It was like a free therapy session for me, is why I wanted to start it. It was a way for me to get everything out into the open on black and white, for me to read back, to get out of my head, for me to stop worrying about whether or not why I wasn't walking, or whether I needed a new chair, or, the things that you go through when you have this diagnosis and you lose the ability slowly to do certain little things. So it was very much a free therapy session. I never expected it to go the way it went, ever. I thought there's no way anyone's going to read me. They're going to find me so boring. Nobody's going to be interested in the slightest, so it's fine. But it did take me a while to push that publish button. I sat on it for about 3 days before I actually was like, just put your big girl wheels on and push the button. So, yeah.
Well, you know what? I've spent a bit of time having a look at your blog and reading some of the blogs and just moving around the whole environment and understanding what my life Kerry's way is all about. And you should be immensely, immensely proud of
Thank you.
the message that you're conveying, which is such a considered, thoughtful, sensitive message to so many people, who need a little injection of Kerry, right? And
Thanks.
I think it's really, that's heartfelt, absolutely sincere in saying that to you. I'm just going to jump in the chat room for a second and just say a good evening to Marion. Hello to Marion.
Hey, Mom.
That must be Kerry's mum tuning in. Very good. Be gentle with us, please, this evening, Marion. And then we've got a message flying in from Cornwall. Way hey, from Ross. Hi, Ross. Good evening to you.
Hey,
Look,
Rose.
looking forward to having one or two questions from you, perhaps later on as the conversation unfolds. So, if you'd like to check out Kerry's blog, My Life Kerry's Way, head over to Kerry-Thompson. That's with a P.com. And so, if you want to put a question directly to Kerry tonight, whether you're tuning in on the charity's Facebook channel, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, or you're watching this through LinkedIn, you know what you need to do. Pop your question on whatever channel you're watching, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, and a member of our online studio team will pick it up and throw it into the chat room. So, Kerry, before we natter some more, you'll hopefully be familiar with our quick fire rounds, okay? So kind of
Yeah.
a way of allowing our audience to get to know our guests just a little bit more. So I can see that you're sat comfortably. You ready for this?
Yeah, go.
Excellent. One tune that puts Kerry in a fabulous mood.
Anything from the 80s.
Anything from the 80s.
Anything from the 80s. Give me the 80s music and I'm well away.
Wonderful. Most used emoji on your smartphone.
Probably the palm face.
110, 130, or 150 roundabouts in Milton Keynes.
I would like to say there's 150 because there are a lot.
Wonderful.
There is a lot. If you get lost, you can just go round a roundabout and start again.
Well, the latest statistics indicate 130, but
Oh, no
maybe
way.
at some point, 20 more roundabouts to go. It's probably going to happen, right?
I'm slightly disappointed that there isn't 150.
One item that you take to a desert island, Kerry.
Oh, I want to say sunscreen.
That's fine. That's an everlasting supply of sunscreen, factor 50. Electric, bamboo, or plastic toothbrush.
Electric toothbrush.
Kerry, you're the PM, the Prime Minister for 24 hours, okay? What one change would you make today?
Everything to be accessible.
And Kerry, if you could speak one language fluently, what would it be?
Spanish.
Muy bien. On must-have condiments, mayo or ketchup?
Oh, mayo.
True or false? The motorist's best friend, WD-40, is produced in Milton Keynes.
False.
It's actually true.
Is it really?
Yes. And finally, in this first quick fire round, your first career that you dreamed of having as a kid.
Oh, I don't know. You probably have to ask my mum that question because I can't actually remember. I probably wanted to be absolutely everything.
Well, that's an ambition right there, isn't it? Absolutely everything. So listen, Kerry, as we always do on these In Conversation with broadcasts, I'm going to share a series of images, a series of photos, and we're going to go through this slowly, okay? And I'd love to just invite you to tell us a little more about them. So let's see where we go. Let's pop up the first image, and then you can tell us a little bit more.
So that's at my nan and granddad's, and my mum had left my Auntie Lynn in charge. And that's the photo we came out with. She'd put makeup on me, she'd spiked my hair. I'm wearing this big baggy t-shirt of hers, and I believe that's in my granddad's room, I think. But yeah, that's that story.
Wonderful. I love it. And what's going on here?
That's my pony from when I was a teenager. That's Tom. He was a beautiful pony. He was like Houdini. And yeah, I loved horse riding, and yeah, I do miss riding a lot.
And we have a connection there. I used to do a bit of riding with the Riding for Disabled Association, the RDA.
Yeah.
And my horse was a 16 and a half hand skewbald cob by the name of Major George, but that's a story for another day. Let's go on to the next image. So,
my favorite subject.
what's going on here?
So that is a changing places toilet. That will change anybody's life. That toilet right there. So you have a height adjustable sink. You have a toilet central to the wall. You have a privacy screen, and in the corner, you can slightly see it, is a height adjustable bed, adult size bed. I do love Toilet Talk, and you have obviously the hoist as well.
I mean, toilet talk is not something that many people talk about. So, I mean, when I look at that image, and I looked at a lot of images, and I spent a bit of time, understanding a little bit more about the strategy, but also the ambitions of Changing Places, right? And, with Changing Places, it's all about space and how that space can be utilized in the best possible way to enable the experience of hand washing, changing, toileting, whatever it is, as easy as possible in the safest possible way.
Yeah. They're life-changing for a lot of people with complex needs and without complex needs. You have the hidden disabilities. They're life-changing facilities. You have enough space to be able to take two carers in with you instead of, I've had experiences where my husband and myself have gone out and we've tried to get into an accessible toilet, but trying to maneuver a bin over your head, a sink in the stomach, a baby changing table in the side of your head, and then my husband having to turn around and go, babe, there's no way this is going to happen. So you have to reverse yourself back out again, and then you have to hold it. There's no way of ever trying to find any other way other than not drinking, not going out, or holding it in.
And I've got to ask, is there a Changing Places facility in New Bold Verdon?
No, there isn't. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to try.
Excellent. I'm going to dive into the chat room for a second and just say a quick good evening to Karen. Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Ross wanted to say he knows that you love reality television. So if you could be on any of the reality TV shows, what would it be?
Oh, now I can't say Love Island because I'm married. So my husband's glaring at me from the door right now.
Excellent.
I would love to say, I think Towie, because I think there's so much drama on Towie
Yeah.
that I would love to just sit there with the popcorn or just literally throw little tidbits in
Yeah.
just to see it fly.
Very good. Karen also says, absolutely my favorite topic too, when we're
Yeah.
discussing changing places and the love
Hey,
of the
Karen.
the love of the loo. Wonderful. And Marion also says, if you could add a very frivolous thing to every changing places toilet, what would it be? Well, I've got an answer for that, but what's your answer, Kerry?
Oh, frivolous thing. I think it would have to be a selfie mirror with lights.
A selfie mirror with lights. I mean,
Yeah.
that just
I,
that's amazing. What a great idea. I was thinking of it rather dull, but a USB port you can plug your phone in, right? Something
oh,
useful. Or
yeah.
maybe a touchscreen TV so you can tune in, or I don't know, or maybe a voice activated TV so as you're doing your business you can be watching
Or a
your.
voice activated toilet. Now,
Absolutely,
apparently, they exist.
yes. Heat on the seat, please.
Yeah.
Flush. Very good. Right. Let's go back to our images. So we were moving on from that wonderful bit to our eyes. What's going on here then, Kerry?
So that was in 2019. So I won an award for the BBC Three Counties Radio People's Choice Award. And yeah, that was for diversity, equality and diversity for the gold award that I won for my work with Tesco's. And they'd only built 35 at that point. So yeah, that was obviously Tony Hadley there. My mother-in-law came along with me and got very excited about Tony Hadley.
Very good. And the next image we got, which is relevant.
Yes, that's obviously Tesco's. And then me pulling a silly face outside the toilet, as you do.
Very good. I have to give a shout out, right? So I've not shared this in public. I'm going to share this with you, Carrie, particularly because I know that it'll resonate with you and all of your colleagues that are driving the Changing Places campaign. I've got to give a shout out to the welcome break at Fleet Services on the M3 southbound in Hampshire. It was truly a much needed experience and a wonderful experience of visiting my first Changing Places facility. So that's a shout out to the Welcome Break Fleet Services M3 southbound in Hampshire.
Love that.
Um,
Everybody needs to see a change in places and send a toilet selfie. Obviously, not on the toilet. We don't want toilet selfies where you're actually on the toilet. Just a toilet selfie, a change in places selfie. We love them.
I have to say, when I was, very briefly, when I was sitting carrying out my business, I was looking around at the space and I was absolutely struck in awe of the space, first and foremost, but also all the options, the versatility, and clearly someone somewhere had thought it through. And that's the difference, as you will well know. Let's move on to the next slide, please. What's going on here? 60 years of progress together. What's happening here?
So that was the last conference in 2019 for Muscular Dystrophy UK. And I won Campaigner of the Year. And it was awarded to me by that wonderful man there, Michael Attenborough.
Wonderful. And much deserved, no doubt. As a past trustee for Muscular Dystrophy UK, I know they do phenomenal work, and they need more and more support for sure. But congratulations! What a wonderful
Thank you.
honour for you to receive that
Yeah.
from that particular gentleman. Lots of smiley faces happening here, Kerry. I love your smile. What's happening here? What are we celebrating?
That was our wedding reception. That was a delayed wedding reception that we had. So we ran off and got married and didn't tell anyone. We phoned everyone after and went, guess what? Got married. And then I think it was about 8 months later, we had a little party. to
And
celebrate with everyone.
when you say you ran off and you didn't tell anyone, did you not tell your mum at least?
Yes, my mum did. My mum was aware.
Thank
She
goodness for that.
she was aware, but told to keep it secret.
Told to keep it secret. Covert conversation with
Yeah,
mum, right?
covert.
Very
Yeah,
good.
covert chat with mum.
So moving on, let's talk about the purple pound. So for those that don't know, this is a subject quite close to my heart as well. Kerry, tell us more. What is the purple pound for those that don't know?
So the purple pound is the spending power of the disabled people and their families. It's worth a whopping 274 billion, and unfortunately, it's looking at rising at least 14% each year. So I was completely, blown away and honoured when I received an email from Mike Adams to ask if I would be an ambassador. So yeah, it was just as I was starting out, and I couldn't believe what I was reading, and I was so overwhelmed, but yet so in awe of him and everything that he does. How could you not say no? Because this is so highly important. And the fact is that why should we not be able to spend our hard-earned money going out and enjoying a restaurant meal, or just generally shopping? There's been so many times when I've been turned away because I can't get in, the door's not wide enough, or there's step access, or they just completely ignore you and speak to somebody else. So I think it's that experience, it's the customer's experience, and this is what the Purple Tuesday highlights, is the experiences that we have, and changing those experiences to be able to show the world that we do matter. We are still exactly the same as everybody else. We like to shop, we like to go to restaurants, eat in pubs. So yeah.
It's, you know what, it's a terribly important conversation. And is this Piccadilly Circus or Oxford Circus?
Yes. Yeah,
The big
Piccadilly.
Piccadilly. That's right. And so this was last Tuesday, where they lit it up in purple and spotlighted all sorts of wonderful individuals. And I think you're there in the
I
mix, which
am.
is
Yeah. You
wonderful to
see
see,
me
right?
sticking me thumb up. Yeah.
But there's so many people doing good work in this space and helping to amplify the message that you've just conveyed, which ultimately is a conversation that has been going on for many years. And we need, in my opinion, we need an army, a purple army
Yeah.
of people championing this message around providing better service, outstanding service for people with disabilities, right? It's a very simple message. It's a message that sadly a lot of organizations haven't really grasped. But I'll tell you what, in my experience, and I'm sure in your experience as well, those organizations that are leveraging difference, that are leveraging the purple pound, can put together, undoubtedly put together, a very robust business case, which
Yeah.
ultimately is all about driving revenue to their bottom lines and profiting from us, right?
Yeah,
When we,
absolutely. I mean, I experienced something yesterday. I went to go and change my glasses, and the woman that was dealing with us, she kept speaking to my PA instead of directly speaking to me. And I had to turn around to her and say, I'm the one spending my money. Speak to me.
this is, I get so frustrated. I could go off on one, but I'm not going
Yeah.
to. This is about, you know, societal attitudinal change.
Yeah.
And it's the most difficult thing to do, is to change somebody's attitude. And that's why I think, this particular initiative, purpletuesday.org.uk, if you're interested and you wish to get involved, that's the site to go to learn
Yeah.
about it and get involved and get behind it and support it. Not just tomorrow or the next day, but just onwards, and particularly when we shine a spotlight in 2022, which will be even bigger, no doubt. Let's just move on to the next slide, because I think it's a nice way to. Is this who I think it is?
That's hubby. Yes, that's our wedding day.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a really beautiful picture. I haven't seen him creep into camera yet to make sure that you're well hydrated.
He
But
won't. He'll stay well out of the way.
that's okay.
He
But if
doesn't.
you know,
He doesn't like being focused on.
that's okay. Don't worry. So listen, Kerry. From the Purple Pound, I was looking at your Twitter profile, which mentions that you're an ambassador for Accessible UK, formerly, I believe, Disabled Go.
Yes.
So it's for those that don't know, it's an online accessibility resource packed with facts, figures, and photographs, right? Designed to help disabled people make informed decisions, about places and venues and locations they want to visit. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. It's a great source of, if you're going out, to look and see whether the venue that you're going to is on there, because they have gone into so much detail. They can get thousands of little bits of information that nobody else would even think of getting, down to toilets, down to stoma shelves, down to whether there's a seat in the shop, that if you are feeling a bit faint or you can't walk anymore and you just want to sit down, and have them bring it to you. I was lucky enough where I went to an event that they held in Milton Keynes, and we went around the shopping centre to see how they actually do it, how they survey these shops. I was amazed. There was things in there that I guess I would never have even thought about, because one, I don't have a sight impairment, so it wouldn't cross my mind that there would be certain things there that they would need to look at. For me, obviously, being a wheelchair user, I know what my needs are. But it was very insightful to see, just down to the tiny bits of detail that they go into. It's a great source of information, definitely.
Brilliant. I mean, it's good to hear. We need more resources like that, don't we? Because information is knowledge and knowledge is power. And I think we need to be in a position where people with disabilities, whether they're visually impaired, mobility impaired, hard of hearing, whatever the disability may be, right? That they can make,
absolutely.
informed choices. So, Kerry, for those that might wish to perhaps learn a little bit more or actually get involved in supporting, some of the campaigning efforts that you're involved in, changing places, or perhaps even wanting to learn more about accessible housing, which I know is another area of interest that you have.
Yes.
Is that right? Tell me what's going on there.
So I'm lucky enough, and I hate to say that I'm lucky enough, it really does grind my gears when I say it, that I have an accessible home.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to have this home for 9 years. I can use my wheelchair inside and out. The doors are wide enough, the corridor's wide enough, the bathroom's big enough to swing a cat in, the kitchen the same. And I've lived in a home that hasn't been accessible for my needs, where I'm only living in one room. The bathroom was great, but it wasn't suitable for my needs. Again, the bedroom, there was a great big long slope that was, had a hard turn. So it was very hard to live and think back to that stage, because I was on antidepressants. I didn't want to speak to anyone, didn't want to do anything. I was being asked to do certain things, and it was a case of, no, I don't really want to. So when my husband and myself decided that it was probably a good time to move, when this place came available, we jumped it. And 9 years later, I've obviously got a blog. I'm obviously, I work, I do lots of things. So it's the difference in having an accessible home that meets your needs as to how your life is independently. And I'm a huge campaigner for that. I want people to be able to live an independent life. It doesn't matter what disability, or, whether you call it disability or impairment. You have the right to live the way you choose to live, not because somebody else is telling you you can't live that way. You can live however you want to live. It's having that choice. And at the moment, we have such a huge shortage of accessible homes that if we carry on going the way we're going, it's going to just get worse. People are being told to live in nursing homes in their 40s because they can't find a home that's suitable for their needs. That's not right.
It's not right, Kerry. Goodness me, please keep championing these really important issues. I don't think that we're going to be able to fix these things overnight, but we need to keep driving the message around the things that you're doing. If people want to support either Changing Places or some of the other campaigns that you're doing, where do they go? Do they jump on your blog or do they go anywhere else?
They can literally find it anywhere. You can go on Twitter, you can go on Facebook, you can send me a private message. I'm happy to meet anyone. Yeah, hit my blog.
Fantastic. Excellent. Let's just jump back into the chat room for a second. John, hi, John. Good evening to you and hi to everyone. That's what John's message is. So hi back to John.
Hello.
Marion here we are again. Do you see a time, Kerry, when everyone is given equal consideration, and how long do you see it taking? Good question.
Thanks, Mum. I do. I think, yes. I want to believe wholeheartedly that it will come to the day when, yes, we don't have to have these conversations anymore, where it's just, well, this is what happened in the past, and that's where it stays, and that it just continues to be, it's getting better, but it's just not fast enough. Unfortunately, we seem to kind of go 5 steps forward and then we seem to come 10 steps back. And it always seems to be that case, that until obviously people do wake up and see the real that's out there, I can only but dream and hope that, yes, this conversation is going to be in 20 years' time, maybe the past conversation of people are reading it in a book and going, really, that happened? Wow.
It's interesting, isn't it? I can turn the clock back to 2012 when the London Paralympics, unfolded, and the world's attention was on London and on talented athletes and on accessibility, as an agenda item. And I think we delivered extraordinarily well, but the spotlight then went on to other things.
Yeah.
And you talk about competing priorities here, because accessible housing, whilst terribly important, costs somewhere. There are costs involved. And that's the challenge, isn't it? The economic landscape as it is today could be different tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where we've just come from over the last 20 months with COVID and the pandemic,
Yeah.
it's a tough landscape, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So another little gear change. So I've got to ask, Kerry, where's your happy place?
My happy place is in Wales next to the sea in Norfolk. It is my childhood wrapped into one. And it's my mum's childhood as well, actually, to be fair. So it's kind of like a whole family that have so many fond family memories there of my cousins. We all grew up together. We were there in the summer. We were there in the Easter. I just remember my grandparents picking us up and my granddad taking me cockling, and my nan always going out with a caravan whenever we cooked up the cockles. So there's so much childhood memory there. And I've been back there as an adult, and it's still the same feeling. It's still just that sea air, and everything about the place is just, it's such a slow pace of life that you feel freer there.
Isn't there a thing about the slower pace of life? Because the world that we're living in today it feels relentless. Did you feel that?
Yeah. You're constantly having to catch up with yourself. That's what I feel. I feel like every day there's just not enough time in the day to do everything. And when I stop, funnily enough, I get bored. So if I just take one day off where I'm sitting there watching TV, I don't want to watch TV. I want to do something. And then you have to remember to switch off. But it's very hard because it is such a fast pace of life of keeping yourself active and not actually stopping and looking up at the world.
When is your next visit booked for Wells Next to the Sea?
Hopefully soon, because I do have family that live up in Fakenham,
Yep.
and that's obviously where we got married as well. So it has an even bigger pull to us. I'm hoping soon, because I do have a new set of shiny wheels sat in my carport, so that makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm hoping soon.
Good. Well, I hope that happens, because it's really important that we all occasionally do a hard stop, right? I
Yeah,
mean, that's the language that
absolutely.
Gen Z use. But there we go. Moving on to movies. Come on, then. Let's talk briefly about some of the movies that you love. A couple of favorite movies that do it for you, Kerry.
So the Goonies all the way. I love the Goonies. And the Labyrinth as well. I love the Labyrinth, but I do love all time. It was very hard it's hard to get the one movie that I truly love, that I like to watch over and over again, because if I love a movie, I can watch it 1,000 times. The Harry Potters, I don't know how many times I've watched Harry Potter. I don't know how many times I've watched Twilight. The Goonies, yeah, if it's on, I'll watch it. The Labyrinth again, if it's on, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
So, and I love the 80s. The 80s seem to
Yeah.
be my go-to.
Your go-to place for movies and music, by the sounds of it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to press you, before we end this evening's conversation, I'm going to press you for one or two favorite tunes. You've said to me the 80s, but what about Aha?
Love Aha. Who doesn't love Aha?
Who doesn't love a bit of Aha? And just going back to the Goonies for a second, what is it about the Goonies that particularly does it for you?
I don't know. I mean, you've got the truffle shuffle, haven't you? That's just...
The truffle shuffle, yes.
Yeah. You've got that. I mean, it was only on the other day, and I watched it. I sat there and watched it again.
Excellent. Very good. Well, listen, it's that time again for our second quick fire round. So, Kerry Thompson, I was going to say in the purple seat, but we haven't got one of those this evening.
No.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Kerry, if someone was to play you in a film, in a movie, right? Who would it be?
Reese Witherspoon.
And what's your one hidden talent?
I can shake my eyes.
So, are we going to have a first here?
I could give it a go, but you might not be able to see it because I've got my glasses on. It's a little bit difficult with my glasses on, but yeah, I can shake my eyes.
Do we just hang on one second? Do we need to have the glasses removed in order to see this? Can we,
I don't know if I'll be able to do it, actually. Now I'm on show, I probably won't be able to do it, but yeah, I can shake my...
So tell us when you're starting. I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I love it. What a great skill. The last text message that you sent
was to Karen.
This is your boss.
Yeah, this is my boss.
Very good. I hope that I think maybe Karen's with us this evening, but I'm looking for one or two questions from Karen, and maybe one or two little insights about Kerry from Karen. That would be good. Kerry, true or false? Northampton is the home for Formula One motor racing team Red Bull.
No, because it's Milton Keynes.
Well done. Tonight's dinner, who cooked it?
My PA, Deborah.
And what was it?
Chicken enchilada.
Wonderful. So shout out to Deborah, your PA. Thank you for looking after Kerry. That's wonderful. So one thing that Kerry does to chill, to relax.
What's relax when that's at home? No, I like a good movie. I like to sit down and watch a good movie, or I sit and listen to music. And I write. I actually love writing. So for me, relaxation is writing down what's in my head. If I've got something to write about, I will generally sit down and write about it. That's me relaxing.
Very good. So, Kerry, as of today, Wednesday, the 19th of November, 2021, the total number of changing places toilets registered so far is 1,598.
No.
B, 1621, or C, 1666?
I want to say B. That rings a bell when I looked the other day.
It's actually gone up to 1666.
Has it?
Yeah,
Check that out. And I'm registering another 2 tomorrow.
there we go. Fantastic. What's Kerry's food heaven?
Paella. Paella. I absolutely love paella. I could eat paella all day long.
So is this on Deborah's culinary?
No, I haven't got her to cook this yet. So
Oh, come on,
she
Deborah.
Debs does make a mean chicken linguine.
Okay.
She does make. She is good. She's very good. She
So
does keep me.
what would it be if we put a shout out to Deborah and even to your mum Marion and why not to Ross, that we, between the three of them, I want you to have a great paella experience at some point by the end of this month. Can we make this happen for Kerry? Come on now.
I don't know. I'll have to take Debs with me to my mum's, and then we might have to FaceTime Ross to join in.
Great idea. Love it. And we need to see photographs, don't we? We need to understand and see photographs. So moving on, vegetables. So broccoli, carrots, or peas? Kerry?
Peas are a pointless vegetable.
This is a quote that I've come up and I've seen a few times. Why are peas a pointless vegetable, Kerry?
What are peas? They run around the plate. They're not. You literally chase them. They don't taste very nice. They are the most pointless vegetable ever.
Pointless. So look, if you agree or disagree as to whether the pea is a pointless vegetable, please leave a comment. If you're watching this conversation this evening on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, leave a comment. Do you love the pea? Yes or no? And if you don't love the pea, well, why not? Is it a pointless vegetable? I can see the headlines tomorrow.
Yes.
Kerry, best bit of advice that you give your younger self?
You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
You'll be okay. A little bit of a gear change. So I wanted to pick up on actually one of your blogs where you spoke about parents feeling guilty for bringing a child with a disability into the world, and the impact on a family, right? So when I sat down quietly and I read that blog, it's a powerful blog, by the way.
Thank you.
And you speak about guilt being a normal feeling, and this notion of self-acceptance, right, being, in your words, and I quote, vital in understanding one's purpose in life. So my question is, how do you feel one can let go of those feelings of guilt or regret? How does one let go?
I think it's very hard for a parent to let go of that guilt. I think it stays with them for the rest of their life. And I think you can change that, you can try and change that, but not being a parent, but as a child of a parent, it's not their fault. And that's what they need to remember. It wasn't like they woke up one morning and go, let's have a disabled child. Let's bring a disabled child into the world and make it harder for them. It's one of those things that unfortunately you can't change. And that's what you need to remember. You can only give them the best life that you can give them. You can only give them the advice that you can give them. We are all humans. We are all going to go out into that world at some stage and find out, one, how great it is or how cruel it is, or how inaccessible it is. So we're going to find out at some stage. And then there's children that unfortunately are never going to have that experience. But it's still not the parents' fault. It's not the parents' fault. And I hope that if anyone did read that was a parent of, a child with a disability, that they understand that it isn't it's not their fault. They can't help it. I get that there's going to be a level of guilt there, but it's also looking at your child and seeing that your child doesn't know any different if it is born with a disability. For me, obviously, at 24, I was diagnosed. I knew what it was like to be running around in and out of pubs and, going to nightclubs and riding horses and going to school. It wasn't until my 30s that I experienced being in a wheelchair. But I've experienced both, and I don't blame my mum. I don't blame my dad for any of it because it's not their fault. My mum raised me to be a self-sufficient, independent woman.
Do you mind me asking, was your mum the carrier of the particular gene?
Yeah, so my mum has muscular dystrophy as well, and so does my younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, they both, it comes from my mum. Yeah.
So in terms of a message that you might like to convey to those who either tuning in this evening or who'll tune in at a later date, because tonight's All In Conversation with broadcasts are recorded, what strategies or what, one or two thoughts? I mean, I came across the concept of grief journaling. In other words, writing a journal of what grief might mean to a person at any given time. And also this sense of trying to forgive yourself if you're carrying that guilt, allowing yourself the space to simply forgive yourself. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you go through grief. I think having muscular dystrophy or any type of disease or condition, you go through grief. I go through grief every time I lose the ability to that I lose the ability to do something. So it's just a natural part, I think, of life, in that grief just doesn't come down to losing a family member or a beloved pet or a friend. Grief is also something, there is grief when you have a car accident and you end up having both legs amputated. There's grief there, because you have to change your whole life. Again, I think you do have to stop and forgive yourself over and over for sometimes feeling like you've done something wrong, because you haven't done anything wrong. It's just a part of learning who you are. I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I didn't have muscular dystrophy. When I didn't know that I had muscular dystrophy, I was a very selfish person. Didn't really care about anyone else. Just got on with my life. Whereas now the rose-tinted glasses are off, and I very much see the world in its full beauty. And I very much see my muscular dystrophy in its full beauty. The struggles that I've had, yes, I probably wouldn't have had those struggles if I didn't have muscular dystrophy, but they've made me the person that I am today. So forgiving myself for being angry with myself sometimes, and for that grieving process of loss it's a natural part, and you do have to forgive yourself.
Gosh, Kerry, it's a powerful thing you've just said there. And I think keep blogging, keep being Kerry, right? There's a wonderful quote that I discovered by you, in fact, on your site, which said, "Your life may be different, but different doesn't have to mean bad."
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, Kerry, if you could invite, a couple of well-known people, a couple of celebrities to your home for a pot of tea, right? A very English thing to do, isn't it? Pot of tea. Who would they be and why?
the Queen would have to be one of them. Who doesn't want to have tea with the Queen? The stories that woman could tell. And I think David Attenborough would have to be another one. Would have to be.
So I've got to ask, did you catch Sir David's address to the world leaders at COP26?
Absolutely. Absolutely in awe. That man, just his voice alone.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to listen to what he has to say?
I watched it earlier this afternoon just to remind myself, because I just wanted to make sure that I was absolutely in tune with, what it is you've just said around wanting to have David Attenborough in your home having a pot of tea, right? And, as you're quite rightly point out, it's immensely powerful what he had to say. Mm. And, he spoke about the fact that we're all already in trouble, right? And, our motivation should not be fear, but hope. And how he directed his commentary to all those individuals in that room. And he said, the world is looking at you to do, right? So, in terms of goals and aspirations, that he, through his whole life, has encouraged others to strive for, and still encouraging world leaders to strive for and make a difference. What are you striving for in your life, Kerry? One or two goals or aspirations that you're striving for at the minute?
Accessibility, diversity, and inclusion.
In terms of just the world being more accessible, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Disney World being accessible. I've been to Disney World. I'd like to go again, but I don't know how accessible it'd be in my chair. I'm assuming it would be, but you just don't know. Accessibility to be able to enjoy my life the way I choose to enjoy my life. If I want to go to the local park, I want to be able to go to the local park. If I want to go into a pub, I want to be able to get into the pub.
Absolutely. Quite right. I just hope and pray that this conversation on, equality and diversity and inclusion, which is a conversation I've been listening to for, 20, 25 years. Yeah. I think the conversation is changing. Progress is being made. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I just hope that if we wind the clock forwards another 15 or 20 years, that conversation, I hope, will have changed. And let's hope and pray that is the case. But listen, Kerry, I've got to ask you, we're nearly coming to the end of our conversation. I really, really enjoyed chatting with you. And I suspect you and I could chat for a little while longer, couldn't we?
Yes.
But who makes Kerry laugh out loud?
My husband. He is the funniest, most quirkiest person you will ever, and he doesn't even realise he's funny half the time. He says the most silliest things that I sometimes have to sit there and look at him and go, that's the sperm that got through.
Excellent. So our final question of the evening to close off tonight's show, Kerry. You've been a truly, truly fabulous guest, and thank you so much. If there was one thing that we can all do to make the world a better place, a little bit of a better place, what, in your view, would that be?
More knowledge on disability.
More knowledge on disability. Well, I'm going to just jump into the chat room for a quick visit. Marion says, no, peas forever.
I knew she would say that.
Very good. And Ross is just in a little shout out to Big Dave.
There we go. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ross. Great. That's great. So listen, huge thanks, Kerry Thompson, for being our guest tonight. Can I ask you to give me your best muscle warrior, beautiful smile, please, Kerry? And I'm going to give you a muscle warrior salute back. And for those that don't know, a muscle warrior salute is a visible symbol of hope, courage, strength, joy, and unity for all those with muscular dystrophy. And as always, if you've enjoyed tonight's show, and if you can, please, please, please do make a donation, as every penny counts in helping the Muscle Heart Foundation charity push on and continue its work. And Kerry, as is the custom, if you know someone who you think might make a great in conversation with guest for an episode, perhaps in our 2022 lineup? Will you let us know?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So here we go. Drum roll. Breaking news. We're back on the 1st of December for what will be episode 19 in series 2. There's the diary date alert. Wednesday, the 1st of December, we go live at 7:30 p.m. And in this, well, it's a penultimate episode, the second last one of the year, I might add. I'm going to be joined by Henry Fraser, mouth artist, author and speaker. Henry has been paralyzed from the shoulders down since 2009. He himself has described his own adversity as a gift, and it's enabled him to rediscover his love for drawing and painting. And he was commissioned, in fact, by the Times to produce a piece for the front cover of their first Rugby World Cup supplement. He's hosted his own exhibition, and many, many doors have been opened for Henry, who, in his own words, said, and I quote, "Every day is a good day." I'm so looking forward to reading this little book here. By the way, a little plug for The Little Big Things, which actually was a Sunday Times bestseller, and it attracted endorsements from many well-known people, including J.K. Rowling, who simply said of the book, truly inspirational. From what I've learned about Henry, I think he's an extraordinary man with an extraordinary passion for life, like you have, Kerry, right? Plus, you know what? He's a Hertfordshire man, and I can't wait for you all to meet him. It's going to be a real privilege, and I know it's going to be a great conversation, and you're all invited. So be sure you tune in on Wednesday, the 1st of December. There's the diary date alert, and we go live at 7:30 p.m. Once again, on behalf of the Muscle Heart Foundation charity, muscle-tastic thanks to tonight's fabulous guest, Kerry Thompson, and to our volunteer studio team, to Lindsay, to Nick, and of course to our StreamYard studio lead, to Grace, for once again making it all happen behind the scenes. Thank you guys. For now, have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye.